On to the next big story that we're dealing with here is Michael Thomas being placed on the PUP list. So we were unsure exactly when Thomas was going to return. Had ankle surgery late June. Reports came out early July. The initial timetable was anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. And so now we get the idea that he's not going to play until at their earliest week 7. So a little bit of confusion here because their bye is in week 6. So he's definitely not going to play in the first 5 weeks of the season. We still haven't figured out, right? Is it 6 weeks or 6 games?
I think it is 6 weeks, not 6
right.
games.
So according to ESPN, Adam Schefter's report, he's eligible to return for week 7, which would be their first game off the bye, which is basically what we were saying all along as the timetable, not knowing he was going to be placed on the PUP list. So for those of you that play in fantasy leagues that have IR spots where you could stash him on the PUP list, this is good. You could still draft him with the same intention of knowing he was going to be a middle to the second half of the season type of difference maker. But this also opens the door for Marquez Callaway to be a difference maker through the first 5 games this season and maybe longer if, in fact, Thomas's injury lingers. So, Dave, I know you've been a big fan of Marquez Callaway. Does this change anything for you in terms of how you're approaching it, or this was kind of what you were working on as well?
This is what I was working on. I thought that Michael Thomas would start the year on the PUP list, which meant he would be gone for the first third of the fantasy season, half of the fantasy regular season at this point, and that you don't know what you're going to get from him when he does come back. Is he going to come off the PUP list and he's going to be in perfect sync with Jameis Winston? If Winston is still the quarterback, what if it's Taysom Hill? Maybe you'd like that better. We don't know who it's going to be, and we don't know if he's going to be 100%. I'm nervous about Michael Thomas. I have moved him into the round 8 range. I think that's where people are going to settle on him because then they can take 6 or 7 picks, players that they can consider starters, take Michael Thomas with the hope that they can use him in the second half of the year.
Yeah, I didn't change my projections, but projections don't really matter for Michael Thomas or Marquez Callaway right now. You know you're getting Callaway, hopefully a number 2, number 3 wide receiver for 5 or 6 weeks of the season, and then hopefully he gets to stay relevant after that. In Thomas, you're getting nothing for the first month and a half, and then possibly a top 5 PPR wide receiver after that. Now, there is some risk about what he will be. I'm in a slow draft right now in round 8. Marquez Callaway just went 8.5, Michael Thomas 8.6. So Callaway actually over Michael Thomas. I think that's a little bit too early for Callaway. I'm more of a late round 7 guy for Michael Thomas and somewhere in the round 9-10 range for Callaway.
It's almost the perfect scenario of pairing these two guys together. I've already done that in one draft. I tried to do it in another one. I think, Dave, it was our office league where you took Thomas. And I had the opportunity thinking that he was going to slip and Callaway would be in the range of
and that was after 100th overall. So that would have been the equivalent of round 9 in a typical league. Our office league, 24 teams.
But that's also 24 teams, so people less inclined to take risks. You took a little bit more of a risk, hoping that it's going to be a big reward, but you're going to maybe struggle the first few weeks of the season. So it's not a bad idea to try to pair these two guys together. As our buddy Adam Azer likes to say, the friendship strategy, get 2 receivers on the same team. This is the handcuff situation. You can get great production from Callaway, hopefully early in the season, and then Thomas comes in. Maybe they're both good, but maybe Thomas takes over and is the better of the two because clearly he's going to command the targets on the Saints roster. Want more of the Fantasy Football Today podcast and nonstop year-round fantasy advice? It's simple. Hit the subscribe button and hang with us all throughout the year.